everybody, this is Mrs. Anderson, and we are continuing in Master Math Section 8, the techniques of differentiation, and this time we're going to do the quotient rule. And the quotient rule is easily one of the ones that you will struggle with the most, not because it's difficult, but because you're going to put the pieces in the wrong position. So it's really important you say it as you write it, and you keep doing that every time, okay? So, again, you have a function over a function. So the quotient rule says, and this cannot be modified. Notice because there's a minus sign in between, we can't do what we did up here where I like to write it differently. This has to stay as it is. So you cannot change up how you like to write it. You'll get a totally different answer and it'll be wrong. So it's bottom times derivative of the top minus top times derivative of the bottom over bottom squared. Okay, so I turn that into just like bottom derivative of the top minus top times derivative of the bottom over bottom squared. And I'm going to say that every time I have to do quotient rule, okay? And again, there's a lot of times that we will find easier ways to do things, but we're not there yet. So quotient rule is going to be the best we can do. All right, so because the amount of room some of this takes, I will probably be going to extra paper, and I recommend you have extra paper as well. This is not one you want to learn wrong. It will be hard to undo it for yourself, okay? So I see this. And because it's a function on the top and the bottom, it's going to be hard for me to do anything else other than quotient rule. So I'm going to write y prime equals bottom derivative of the top minus top derivative of the bottom over 3x minus 2 squared. This cancels out because it's a 0. This is a negative 15 over 3x minus 2 squared. And we want to stop there. You're not going to multiply out squares like that on the denominator, so I would leave it be, okay? So now let's talk about part B, all right? So part B, again, we have two separate functions. There's not anything else we can do with it, so we're going to do our quotient rule. So I'm going to do y prime equals bottom 2x plus 1 derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom all over 2x plus 1 squared. Okay, so what's really important right here is this is going to be your safe stop. Okay? Meaning, on the open-ended part of the AP test, or if I'm giving you an open-ended quiz, you can stay right there and call it a day. Okay? I don't want you to mess up the algebra and lose your point. But a lot of times on multiple choice portions that are both in-class stuff and on the AP test, which is multiple choice, they may end up multiplying it out. So we have 8x plus 4. Remember, this minus is going to go travel to everybody. So we have minus 8x, and then plus 6, all over, and then the 2x plus 1 squared. The 8x is going to cross out, so I have 10 over 2x plus 1 squared. So that may be a multiple choice answer on a test, but if it's open-ended, we're going to do a safe stop and leave it right there. Okay? So let's now look at this guy. So we're finding dy dx. Notice that in each of these I had f prime, or y prime, I had f prime of x, and I had dy over dx, meaning everyone was written in just a little bit different way, saying take the derivative. Okay? So I'm going to take y prime. I have x squared plus 4x minus 2 times negative 1. And I'm going to put that in parentheses so I remember it is a multiplication of a negative 1. It is not going to be a minus 1. Minus and then I have a negative x times 2x plus 4 all over this bottom squared, x squared plus 4x minus 2 squared. Again, this is also, so this was a safe stop and this is our safe stop. We don't have to go further, but just in case, we are going to do it here. So I have y prime equals negative x squared minus 4x plus 2. And then this is going to change it to a positive x. So this is going to be plus 2x squared plus 4x. All over x squared plus 4x minus 2 squared. Alright, so x squared minus and positive is going to be 1x squared left over. The 4x's are gone, so I have plus 2, and divided by x squared plus 4x minus 2 squared. Now, if you notice right here, because I had to do a side division sign like this, it wasn't a top-bottom, and I wanted to make sure that people understood that this whole numerator, it's not just the 2. So if I left those parentheses off, it would look like the x squared was separate from the 2. So when in doubt, parentheses usually help a lot of things. Okay? So now on this part for D and E, we're going to compare, do you have to do it all the time, or is there an easier way? Okay? So let's see. Alright, so power rule, I'm also going to write this as equivalent to x to the negative 2. Just like that. So that means that y prime is going to be negative 2, x to the negative 3, and that's going to be negative 2 over x cubed. That was pretty easy. It looked like quotient rule. And you may be wondering now, well, what's the difference between this and this? Isn't this just to the power of a negative 1? Yes, but it's a function with parts. It's not just a term. So this is going to require a different rule later on. So these two are not the same situation because there's just one term here where there are two terms on the bottom here. Quotient rule, okay, is going to be bottom, derivative of the top, minus top, derivative of the bottom, all over bottom squared. So I get negative 2x over x to the 4th, and that becomes negative 2 over x cubed. So personally, I think this one is easier. Now, the book says this one's easier. Quotient rule is one that you guys are going to tend to want to flip around things. So when I can avoid quotient rule, I'm avoiding quotient rule. Now, here, we don't have an option. There's no power rule that can be done with this because there's a function on the top and the bottom. It's not just a constant like it was here. So now I have either quotient rule or I have separating it. And they both work. Surprise, I'm going to give you the thing right now. They both work. But one is easier than the other. Okay, I always say when we're exiting my room and the bell rings, do we want the door or the window? You want the door. Nothing good comes from going out the window, right? Going to the next class. We want the easiest, safest way out. So which one is going to be the easiest and the safest one so we don't make any mistakes? So let's try our quotient rule. Bottom, derivative of the top, minus, notice that's going to be a lot on top now, top, derivative of the bottom, all over, and then x squared minus 3x plus 1, quantity squared. Okay, now, though on the AP test, this would be considered your safe stop, if it's a multiple choice question, they may be checking to make sure you can do the algebra all the way out, which means this could get kind of bad. Oops, sorry, I just caught my mistake here. I hope you caught it before I did. So x squared squared. All right? I got excited. The top was just too thrilling for me. So I could keep working this out, but that's just a pain. Like, I don't really want to do that. Now, if I multiplied all this out and did whatever simplification I did, I would end up getting y prime is 3x minus 2 over x cubed. But let's do separating. Now, separating happens when we have one term on the bottom. You cannot separate something with a plus or a minus. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this as y equals x squared over x squared minus 3x over x squared plus 1 over x squared. Y equals 1 minus 3x to the negative 1 plus x to the negative 2. Okay? So now y prime goes away. I have a positive 3 over x squared minus 2 over x cubed. Now you'll notice I've done things enough times that I don't have to keep showing every step for myself, but you may need to, and that's okay. Now you're like, well, these aren't the same answer. Yes, they, oops, looks like I missed something here. Hold on a second. That's a cubed. 3x to the negative 1. Oh, okay. So you're like, these aren't the same, but they are. Sorry, I had to pause a second. I could get a common denominator of x cubed, which means to get an x cubed, I need to multiply both of these by x. Now again, this is a safe stop. You don't have to go farther. It's fine. But maybe I do, and I have 3x now over x cubed minus 2 over x cubed. So this becomes 3x minus 2 over x cubed. Now, what happens is when I look between the answer key, they went from this answer, and we're like, these are the same. But you may not always see that right away. So it's important that you're writing all the steps down. Do it in color. Take a colored pen. Make sure you're multiplying by step. Don't make a mistake and lose a simple point because of it. Okay? So they are the same, which is easier. I'm going to be picking separation every time. This is going to make it easier on myself, and I'm not going to make mistakes this way. Okay? Again, pay attention to your safe stops, but also remember how to get a common denominator when you need it. All right, best of luck using the quotient rule.